My brother from another mother, Louis Herm's back with us again. He's running for California governor. Got to support him. He's looking good. Louis, thanks for coming back on. And wow, we got some good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, things are heating up in the race, and a lot of things going on in this country. It's amazing. It's sometimes you just have to take a deep breath and pay attention because it could be a lot for some people.
Yeah, so I saw you had a post where the Southern Poverty Law Center had come after you several years ago, and I did a show with Juan. He says you should have Louis on and talk about that. I was like, okay, I will. So here you are, and so what can you tell us about it?
Well, the SPLC is a very interesting organization. So, in my opinion, they're actually set up to suppress the freedom of speech and the activity of anybody that is against this globalist mechanism. So, and the way they do it, instead of being honest and just saying, "Hey, they're against the globalist mechanism," they say, "No, they're an anti-Semite. They're racist. They're a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory person. They're a spreader of lies." Literally, everything they say is opposite world. And I'm going to give you the best example in their name. It's called the Southern Poverty Law Center, where supposedly they raise money to help people that are suppressed in their own lawsuits and litigation. Interesting enough, almost nothing in comparison to what they have goes to those efforts. What they really are is they're a hit group. They're an organization that goes after people that are trying to be truthful. So I believe it was 2023, 24, and 25. I was listed the most times out of anybody in the country, but the most I was listed looks like their number one guy that they went after in California, because anybody else was listed one or two times. I was listed 3 times on what they call their hate map. Now, you know me, other people know me. I don't think anybody has ever accused me of being a hateful person.
Not at all. Wow, that's that's during the time frame where you're doing your travel around the country,
right? And
yeah.
I've had things called the Unity Tour. Go
Exactly.
figure. Right there. Martin Luther King is on my wall, and I know some people have problems with King, but to call me a hateful person or racist or an anti-Semite, just ridiculous. What I do is I do ask questions, and exactly what Soros and the SPLC don't want you to do is ask questions. And by the way, Soros is a big donor of the SPLC. So the Southern Poverty Law Center has a bank account that I know of currently of $500 million. I'm told there's investigations into offshore accounts that may hold over $1 billion. Imagine having that money to embed in all social media and media, employees and volunteers with inside these operations that are actually controlling your free speech, controlling a lot of patriots, as we know, got demonetized. A lot of patriots got knocked off of channels. A lot of patriots, I know patriots is a bad word, by the way, that's racist in itself, but a lot of patriots got their bank accounts stopped. A lot of them couldn't use merchant accounts. All of that stuff. Every talk we talk about, this has happened to me and several others. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, the Southern Poverty Law Center is invested heavily in doing these types of things, and for some reason, they chose me as a prime target. Now, I believe they chose me because thankfully I have to be ahead of the narrative sometimes, but I think really why they chose me over some other people, and they chose a lot. They went after Turning Point USA. I could actually make a correlation, which I will in a minute, on that Charlie Kirk's death may have had something to do with them, and I'll tell you about that. But what happens is when they target individuals, and the reason why they do it is it sends out a dog whistle to the operators that they have all over the planet, and therefore I've never been monetized on a YouTube. I've lost several accounts. I've lost 7 or 8 TikTok accounts because they have these people embedded. The second you do something, to constantly go after them. Their intent is to suppress the truth. But I think what they're most feared about in regards to me is because I'm the one guy that's not only showing the truth, I'm constantly calling for the people to stand up, to rise up and do something. And I believe this dirty old globalist cabal, they understand that their biggest fear is for people to step up to do something. And when we step up in force, we win. The reality is we wouldn't need a President Trump or somebody else if we would just step up, because they would not be able to suppress us. We were much too strong. And they're afraid. That's why they're trying to suppress our gun rights, because they're afraid that we are the largest standing army in the world if we stand up. And we don't even have to stand up with our guns. If we just stand up with our voice, that alone scares the crap out of them. So that's what I've been dealing with. But in regards to the shooting, in 2012, the Family Research Council had a gunman go in there, and his goal was to shoot as many people as he could. And he thought Chick-fil-A and Christian organizations were bad organizations based on him being propagandized by the SPLC. He actually brought in 15 Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and his intent was to shoot 15 people and rub the sandwich in their face after he killed them. Right? Wow. It was really psycho. And thank God there was a guard there that got shot, but still was willing to secure this guy. And when they interrogated him, guess where he said his motives and his influence was? From the Southern Poverty Law Center. He said that's what activated him. So that's the type of thing we're dealing with. Now, I've had,
So here's the website, and they're asking for support to, combat, racism. This really came in because we weren't a racist country. Yeah, we weren't a racist country until Obama came in and started pushing that narrative and opening that can of worms. And we hear the dog whistle, like you're saying, for the last, since Trump's been in office, when he first ran, like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. They've been calling him Hitler and all this stuff. And, whether you believe, I don't believe that, the last shooting was real, or the one before that. But I think they used that to basically, corral these people and put these people on notice and use it as a way to, start to take these people down. So, I mean, look at this. They're asking for huge donations. I'm sure they get a lot of donations. Then they use that money to go after people like you.
Well, and they fan the flames, and they create narratives that don't even exist. So the reason why they got indicted right now is because it looks like there's evidence that they were actually funding real hate groups. And they fund the hate groups to raise money on the back of what the hate group just did, or where the hate group just showed up, right? So it's a circle funding agent. But if you go back to the picture, we're going to understand their motive here. It's very simple, and I always look for clues. So we're in 2026. So obviously the picture they took and put on their website right there for donations was probably taken during COVID. Because this is the whole operation of these globalists. They work together. This is all part of it. So if you were speaking up against COVID and the pandemic, you were a danger. And the reason why I say that, because if you look at the she's protecting her throat and her chin.
She brought you down just to talk.
Right, exactly.
Okay, if you're talking, you're not going to get sick.
No, you're totally safe.
Or
if
eating.
You're talking and eating, the virus won't get you. Yeah. But this is what's interesting, though, is with a group with so much money, there's no reason for them to have a picture that was probably taken in 2020. Now, why do I point this out? There's a lot of information in this picture. They have a young black woman that fits a demographic that they say is controlled. They have what looks like a Hispanic male down there.
Dog whistling.
They have dog whistling, and then they have the COVID mask, right? They constantly give clues to what their agenda are we the people don't generally pick it up because we don't know what to look for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very, very, very powerful group. Any group that has a bank account flush with $500 million is very powerful.
Oh yeah.
But if they understand the way they operate, they have tons of volunteers also, because they radicalize their volunteers into thinking they're actually fighting for some type of social justice when they're not. And the fact that my vehicles have been tampered with more than once, my RVs, I've been poisoned
Really?
2 times. You were
Yeah.
you were part of that
I was
poisoning,
poisoned. Yeah. I
right?
almost died. It was close.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is, in my opinion, a direct reflection to these type of organizations
Mm-hmm.
radicalizing people that are already mentally unstable, thinking that they're making a difference. And it's sickening, and they're very, very powerful. And I'm just happy that finally somebody's drawing attention to it. I
Yeah.
mean, I can tell you just recently, and I don't know if this is part of the SPLC, but I know this is the way they operate. Just recently, for my gubernatorial candidacy, I was put on a poll, on a Facebook poll, and I was rising in the ranks really fast, and I got deleted off that poll 3 times. The administrator didn't know why. The administrator just kept putting me back on. It wasn't our poll. We didn't even know the people were polling.
Wow.
Somebody that's a supporter of mine noticed it. They were upset about it. Unbeknownst to us, they contacted Facebook. Meta got them on chat, and Meta admitted it was one of their employees, and they're going to hold them accountable. So
Wow.
whatever accountable means, why this
Yeah.
story is important is not about me. We have to understand that the SBLC and the Soros and the foundations and all this, they embed these radicals all throughout social media, corporations, law enforcement, right? They're embedded throughout all of these. And then if you make the SES connection with the senior executive services, many of them are paid 2-3 times from different sources. This is extraordinarily concerning. And these are the types of things that people have to know about and have to know about now.
Yeah.
It's too late for me. They already came out. They already did their damage, whatever. I'm trying to fight for some other people just so people are aware of the way these organizations work. And it's sick. And they're still coming after me. I can tell you, they have a report calling their intelligence report as if they are fighting a war, right? And I was just listed on their October 2025 intelligence report,
Jesus.
which I got a hold of, which said, watch out for this guy, he's running for governor now. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
that's the type of thing. So they have these groups that they send these intelligence reports for, and now it's like, wow, watch out. Now, what does this do?
Well, what's bad about that, it puts you, of course, and your audience, people that are supporting you, at risk. Because if you get some whack job, which they count on a lot of times, they keep, feeding, hate and all this fear and all that kind of stuff into this, and they're paid for it. And that's what they're exposing right now as well, that they actually want people to go out there, and they have literally paid people, KKK members and so forth, to create hate incidents so that they can get more funding, so that they can keep the cycle going, so they can get more funding, so they keep the cycle going and donate to the Democrat Party and keep the cycle going. So,
yep. While they're doing nothing for people that are impoverished and have legal problems.
I know.
Right. And it's disgusting at the highest level.
Yep.
And, so they're all embedded through media. So we're wondering, why is media ignoring what could be one of the biggest stories in California, this independent guy that has won every debate that he's been in, right? Why would they ignore this guy? Why would they ignore 30% of the voting population in California? Why would they do that? Well, because guess what? The SPLC sends out reports to all the media of who to watch out for. So they can justify now, when they see my name on that report, is, well, we can't put Lewis on our program. That would be too dangerous for us. Whatever their excuse is, right? This is the apparatus that we're against, And then when you add in the fact that we already know there's an illusion of choice that's been going on a long time, ever since Plato explained it and Machiavelli actually did it. This battle is incredible, Michael. It is amazing. I'm actually very happy I'm in it, no matter how exhausting it is, because I just learned so much more.
Oh yeah, it's incredible what you're going through, and what you're involved in. It takes big cojones to run, and then you're bringing up a lot of stuff that no one else has ever brought up, the child trafficking and so forth, and that's foremost on your agenda for running for governor. That's got to like really shake a lot of these people in their boots, because that's the if you will, the elite. That's their thing. We know that, and so they can't let somebody come in and rock that boat.
No, not at all. And I think their number one insecurity is that we're going to expose election fraud and do something about it. So, I'm the only candidate. In fact, I've heard I'm the only person in history of California that has decided to tour all 58 county elections offices and interview every single one of them that are willing to interview with me, to ask them about their election processes, get a tour, so on and so forth, which will be a documentary in the coming weeks. We've already done 55 out of 58 counties. May 1st, we're going to finish the last 3, and this will follow with the documentary. So I get why baddies don't like me, right? Because we're just doing the work. We have a very large team of dedicated people, and we're doing what we're called to do. We're doing what we're supposed to do. And like I was talking to Dr. Doug Frank and some other people today, I said, here's the reality. The elections are the most important. Why? Because where the elections go, everything else follows. Your First Amendment is either destroyed or comes back online. Your Second Amendment is destroyed or comes back online. Child sex slavery either ends or it is perpetuated. Our horrible food, either it gets worse or it gets better. It's all based on a free and fair election. So the fact that I'm targeting that, and I have a documentary coming out in the coming weeks on that, is a very, very concern for the apparatus, as much as the way they kill anybody that's creating 0-point energy, right?
Yeah.
A free and fair election opens everything up.
Yeah.
Everything. If you get the right people in, suddenly you're getting rid of probably 75% of the waste, the abuse, the redundancy, and the fraud. You're having free speech all over the place. There's going to be a symbiotic working of we the people working together for the common good of man, right? You're gonna have better food, cleaner air, happier people, a pineal gland that's open, probably tens of thousands of people being remote view, remote influence. Your health systems are going to turn on its head, and it's just going to be a glorious world just by having a free and a fair election. So they understand how important that is. And I even think we would end up getting 0-point energy if we had the right people in office. And we know that's a game changer for the cabal.
No questions. It's right there. And the only thing that's keeping it away is because people that we're bringing out will be killed. We're seeing that, exactly. So that's been the issue for decades now. Now, here on your, I was looking through your website for Governor of California. Exceptional job. You guys really, put this on high priority, obviously, and you've created a very nice website. So very, very nice. Of course, at your level, you don't have like big donors like these, billionaires and so forth that normally run for these positions or have billionaire backers. So it really depends on, we, the people, supporting you. And I think that makes, and, President Trump, did not back you. I'm very surprised. So what happened?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all, actually, because I think
Okay.
there's something else at play here. I think there's something else at the primary, that's going to happen at the primary and after the primary. I can't discuss it now, but I have some conclusions. In fact, my wife and I even talked about me putting those on video and time date stamping them because I seem to be ahead of the curve, if that's the fact. So I'm not surprised because I don't fit the current narrative. I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat, and I refuse to be. Now, I can tell you, if I would have filed as a Republican, life would be a lot easier on me right now. But the reason why I did not, because I have to be authentic. The California GOP is a captured operation, in my opinion,
Totally.
in California.
Yeah.
There is a uniparty at set here, like you can't possibly, they are absolutely colluding with each other. It's
Right.
very obvious that I've seen the money Eric Swalwell's put out, and it seems to be in support of Chad Bianco, which is a Republican. So it's a very crazy dynamic here in California. But if you go back, we talked about the illusion of choice, right? Machiavelli used the illusion of choice, where he would put two issues up against each other, and he was looking for people just to go after that. And so they thought they had a choice, and they didn't have a choice. There were two bad choices, right? This is the game that's being played here. Now, what I find fascinating is that we're even talking about a two-party system right now, where the founding fathers were completely against a two-party system. They thought it would be the death of America. Thomas Jefferson is the most famous one, and he's literally saying, so if I have to choose a party, then I'm not going to go to heaven. I mean, that's what he's saying. But yet here we are talking about Republican and Democrats, where I'm the most conservative candidate out there. I'm much more conservative than the two front runners in the Republicans, right? But people aren't looking for solutions. They're not looking for it. They're still looking to be controlled by that narrative. So I'm not surprised that President Trump did not endorse me at all. But I know he knows who I am. I've been told several times that there's possibly even he implemented some policy in regards to voting, in regards to a letter that I sent him that Peter Tickton said was amazing. So who knows? But all I know is this is a calling from God. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And we are shaking things up and making waves that are, I think, historical when it comes down to it. So we'll see where things lay out in the next month, but we're doing good. We just need to get our name out there more, so donations would be super helpful.
Yeah, this is interesting. You said Trump endorses Hilton. Herm responds, and you think that was a positive for you. Why do you think that?
Well, I think ultimately this is less of an endorsement of Hilton than a slap in the face of Chad Bianco, because Bianco kept trying to position himself with Trump, constantly showing pictures with President Trump, and I think he was trying to position himself as Trump's guy, and Trump had enough with it. And he said, I'm endorsing Hilton. That's what I think that was about. And I can tell you, because I've talked to Steve Hilton several times and I've been on the phone with him, he knew the endorsement was coming. He said he's on the phone with President Trump often, so he knew it was coming. I think this is also media play. And I've also been told maybe even if Trump has a positive agenda, that I may be too far ahead of the curve sometimes and be disruptive to that agenda. And I cannot be controlled. That's for sure. So I'm not surprised at all. But I really, when I saw this, I wasn't surprised at this also, because Hilton already told me it was coming. And I think I saw Bianco really ramp up his connections with President Trump. And I think it was kind of a slap down to him, say, no, buddy, I'm not endorsing you.
Yeah. And, make California healthy again. I see you were in a little interview there with what I would say would probably be the top 4, and you're in it. So that's just pretty impressive. So I remember this guy that spoke at your event. He's a really sharp guy. Hilton, of course, he's got experience with Fox, so he knows how to present. Bianco is just as corrupt as they can be. I don't know how anybody's supporting him at all. It's pretty disgusting. So that shows us right there that the GOP is corrupt, because they're just allowing somebody like that to run in their organization without criticizing him and making him go bye-bye is a bad point. So I know that I've supported other people that run positions in California, and the GOP came in and sabotaged them with their funding. So it probably is a good idea you did not go with them.
Yeah, they would have cut my legs out at the end anyway. So
Yeah.
what they do is traditionally they use candidates to help raise money for them, and then at the last second they don't support them. So I wasn't going to play their game. I don't play games anyways.
Mm.
But what's interesting about what you're showing there, so I've been on 4 or 5 debates with Bianco and Hilton, right?
Okay.
Not one of them has been televised on not even local television networks. Not one time did Bianco or Hilton, to my knowledge, promote the debates that I'm on with them. Yet all the other debates that they're on get highly promoted by their teams, and local media picks them up. Maybe that has something to do with the SPLC. I don't know, but
Probably
clearly they're concerned.
Yep.
But clearly they're concerned because these debates that I'm on with them, they don't even promote themselves, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, there's still a chance that Bianco will be held accountable for his misdeeds. So, but in the meantime, they like to have people like that, as we know, because they can puppet them, because they put themselves in a bad position, and they can be held accountable for that and destroyed. So they'll let themselves be puppeted, and I think that's what they want with him. They want to put him in that position so they can get whatever they want.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, and we've been really highly manipulated. So the Republican vote in California is 24%. 24%. And the Democrats are somewhere around 46%. The independents and the NPPs are at 30%. But yet you will not see an independent NPP on the stage with the Republicans and Democrats, even though they have more demographically voters than the Republicans do.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And that's what we're dealing with, because we're still in the matrix. It's still a system. I'll make a vague prediction, and then I'll go into more detail later. But I think the yes on 50 vote and the Supreme Court is going to come into play here. That's all I'll say.
Interesting. Now, the Democrats have been trying to play games. Excuse me. Still won't go away. They've been playing games with got a little horse in there, but they've been playing games with redistricting, and California has done that for a long time, and they try to do it again just recently. I think they actually didn't they? Redistrict?
Yep.
Yeah.
They did. So that's what yes on 50 is all about. And the districts look so crazy. I mean, you can see some wrap around another one to isolate Republicans out of it and grab more Democrats. And what they want to do is they want to hold on to or a super majority. So that would prevent anybody from coming in and doing anything positive whatsoever. That's their goal. And it's I've already reported that 75% of the California budget is waste, abuse, redundancy, and fraud. You imagine that every dollar you spend, 75% of it is not, I'm not saying 75% is just being used, is going to waste, abuse, redundancy, and fraud. It's completely stolen from you, 75 cents out of every dollar.
God.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and they just in Sacramento, Blue Diamond Almond company, 115 years, they're closing down and leaving. So you got businesses that are fleeing California by the droves, and people. So if the only way that's going to stop is if someone like yourself, hopefully yourself, gets into that position. Otherwise, California is doomed.
It is absolutely doomed. That's a massive industry, by the way. I travel all up and down California. Almond farms are massive, and to see those trees go bye-bye is really sad.
Mm, yeah. Misuse of water management, uh, all the different things. You're going to burn again in California, even though you've had all this water. It's the first time in 20 years that California's been out of drought. It's the only state that's out of drought right now, and the whole even Florida is having 20-year drought. So California's having no drought, and it's a big moneymaker. Fires. So that's why you have fires there in California every year. They make a lot of money on that.
Well, and ironically, California will burn again because we've had a lot of rain. Because there's not any fire abatement
Thank you. Yes,
that does any
that's what
good. So what
I was
happens is when we get these rains, you get the undergrowth that is just tremendous.
sure.
There's no fire abatement, so now it's just massive fuel all over California when things start to dry out during the summer. And it's you would think they'd be on it right now. If I know it, they certainly know it.
Yeah, but it's going to be a moneymaker. They're like chomping at the bits. They're just like so happy that all this April rains came. Will we see Mayflowers? Probably see Mayflowers, but we're going to see rain. We're going to see fires because it's big business, and they'll make it happen one way or another. They have directed energy weapons and cloud seeding and all kind of crazy stuff. They have
Smart meters.
options. Yeah, smart meters. Yeah, they just start burning up houses internally. So it's sad, but it's going to continue until somebody comes in and fixes it, because most people don't understand this at all. Now, the Supreme Court basically restricts race-based redistricting in Louisiana. So the Democrats have been using race as a way to redistrict and make these super districts where they can win every single time because they control the populations. They're still in the slave business, right? So Supreme Court basically came in and said, no, that was during Civil War times where we needed that. We don't need that anymore. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I'm actually very excited that the Supreme Court said that can't be used, but the reality is that's just a microcosm of what the Democrats have been doing for several decades, and there's no intent. There's no intent to help the people. It's all intent is to control the people and grab as much money as they can. And the SBLC is a perfect illustration of that. It's called the Southern Poverty Law Center, where you would think their money would predominantly be going to doing what? Helping people that are having trouble with a lawsuit, or maybe they need to sue somebody. That's not what's happening there. That's what it's being used for. You have huge salaries of the executives there, and then you have political payoffs, lobbyists, them funding groups to pretend that they're some way, and then funding hateful groups so they can raise more money. But that is a microcosm of the way our government, our NGOs, our corporations, and even many churches are run now. That's what we're dealing with, which is we have to just call out constantly, Mike, just all the time, like you're doing. We just have to call it and say, this is what's going on, people. We have to absolutely wake up. But I believe this is our opportunity. There's so much things coming to light. And interesting enough, a fact is darkness never ever existed. Darkness is just the lack of light, right? Darkness is not even a thing from a physics standpoint. It's just not enough light. So we need to shed as much light as possible on everything, and that's ultimately how we're going to win this. I'm not expecting President Trump on his white Pegasus to come in and save me any day. I'm planning on doing it myself and with teams and activating as many people around the world as we can.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no way that he could have supported you, really, because he's a Republican, so he has to support a Republican. That's just the way that system works. So I agree with you. He's probably not necessarily supporting Steve Hilton with London, City of London backing probably, but he's also exposing, because that's what he loves to do. He'll put people in positions like we were talking about earlier, so they can either do the right thing or they get exposed. So when you said that, I was like, ding, ding, ding. That's like, tell us your thoughts on that. That was perfect.
Well, I frankly, on that venue, as I predicted several years ago, that President Trump was going to use the Republican Party and that platform to take down the Democratic Party. And then they're going to dismantle the Republican Party. And we're going to get back to pretty much a no party system is where we need to be anyways. And I believe that we're going in the right direction there. And I think what you're seeing happening in Congress with them not being able to pass the SAVE Act and a lot of things like this, I think you're now seeing the exposure of the Republicans, because the Democrats are completely exposed. Even the Democrats know the Democrats are dirty, right? Yeah. Now I'm starting to see the exposure of the Republicans and the individuals and wholesale, with sexual exploitations and a lot of other things in regards to that. So I believe personally, if he's doing what I think he's doing with his team of military advisors, I think they intentionally have divided and conquered. So they divided it so they can go after the Democrats. The Democrats are going down, and now they can put their forces on, I believe, getting rid of the Republican Party. And I know that's very scary for anybody to see, but maybe you should all think when I say that is, why are you affiliated with a political ideology? Should we not be affiliated with what we the people want?
No.
I'm more conservative than Republicans. I just know they're dirty. So that's the only reason why I don't play that game, right? I think it's very, very dangerous when we put party before people. It should always be people first.
Yeah. And, probably one of the best Republicans ever in California history, Ronald Reagan, used to be a Democrat. And once asked why he left the Democrat Party, he said, I didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left me. So I think that's what's happened. I think a lot of people are leaving the Democrat Party because it's left them. And it's very, very corrupt party at this point. It's been exposed. There in California, you have the fraud and corruption that we saw in Minnesota on a level that dwarfs Minnesota, and we're just getting started. And I know you've been part of, helping to expose that and talking about how you were going to rectify that.
Yeah, for several years. And I think right now people are saying the Republican Party has left them as well. So this is an epidemic of we the people, and people are starting to catch up, which I think is beautiful. But yeah, in regards to what I call the WARF, the waste, abuse, redundancy, and fraud, I'm going to go in with our team on day one, and we're going to do a hyper forensic audit. Let's call it Super Doge. We're going to go through everything, but including in that, we're going to hold people accountable also. So we're going to have a website that's exposure and called exposure.ca.gov.
Public exposure, fantastic.
Yep, and we're going to put their names, their email addresses, where their offices are. You can go protest in front of them, but we need to absolutely expose what's going on. And this doesn't have a D or an R next to it. I don't care if you're not working for the people. You're gone. We're going to hold you accountable. But the beautiful thing is, let's say I'm not even successful at reducing it 75%. Let's just say I only get 50%. That enables us to immediately eliminate property taxes and possibly income taxes. What better way to have a thriving economy than start to take the noose off the neck of the people that are paying for all this fraud? So it's going to be very, very exciting for us. And then I'm going to do something that's really crazy, really crazy. We're going to take the complete budget and we're going to put it online, itemized, for the people to audit it 24/7, anytime they want. I think we'll have tens of thousands of digital soldiers constantly digging into the budget, holding us accountable, and we will be the actual idea for all the other states to do the same. And that's how we, the people, take back our governments. Because if for some reason I spend $500 on, let's say, a printer and that printer can be purchased for $149, I need people to hold me accountable and say, hey, that's not what you said you would do. So that's why it's going to be just like QuickBooks. You're going to be looking live online at everything that we spend our money on. Seems like common sense to me.
Totally common sense. And it should have been done, several hundred years ago. So,
yeah.
So another thing we've talked about in the past, but pretty distant past now, but we have talked about it, is the problem with some cities like LA. Now I've seen some reports where you have the criminals, because there's not enough police now in LA because they downsized the police. So their criminals are going into high-end neighborhoods and going into houses and stealing, just basically just ripping off people. Even like six-figure house, where everybody's like, "Oh, I'm safe because I'm rich." 7 figures or above house and gated community. They're going through gated communities into these houses, and even 6-figure, 100,000 plus. The average person, they're being raided and having everything taken out of their houses as well. What do you think? How we're gonna feed this?
Well, it's actually pretty simple. So, I used to study criminal behavior a lot of years ago. I don't know why. I thought it was very interesting, right? And what we found out really quick is when it comes to robberies and home invasions, most of them were done very, very close to a freeway exit. Mm-hmm. And their purpose for doing that is because they have a fast escape route to avoid the police, right? But now when the police have to completely back off, or they're sent on the other side of the city to do something, with the technology, criminals now can monitor where the police are. So they generally work in organizations and groups. So they feel a lot more confident, not just because of technology, but because of the lack of the police force, and even more the lack of enforcement, that they can get away with anything. So I'll give you a little anecdote that just happened on tour a few days ago. Is one of our people, she actually we thought she got her phone stolen, right? So she went on and she's pinging because she has an iPhone, and we found her phone. We knew exactly where it was, to the house, and we called the police. We were put on hold 4, 5, 6 times, transferred all over the place. And finally I said, okay, we're going to go handle it ourselves. Well, they don't think that's a good idea. They're, well, you have to first, get this, you have to first do a police report before we'll actually come out. And we said, fantastic. Put us on. Who's going to do the police report? Hold on. Put on hold. They had no protocol whatsoever.
Good
so
God.
finally we went to the address ourselves. And it turned out to be a really positive thing, because the phone was run over. It was crushed. They didn't know how to get a hold of it. So they planned on bringing it in to the police department the next day. They were very honest about this, so on and so forth. So it turned out to be a very positive thing. But I go there. It was in a very sketchy neighborhood, right? We go there in a sketchy neighborhood. It was dark at night. There were no lights.
Wow.
God knows what could have happened, right? Now, I obviously, I can take care of myself, but who knows what could have happened in that situation? Well, why wouldn't the police just say, okay, this sounds about as credible as it can. You're pinging exactly where the phone is. I'm willing to meet you there, right? And it had nothing to do with them being busy. It was their protocols and their systems. And what happens is we have put a stranglehold on our law enforcement all throughout the land. They don't even know what they don't know. They don't know what they can do, what they can get away with. They're more concerned about how they're going to look than showing up to protect and serve. And I would hate to be a police officer under those conditions, and with everybody hating them. Now, is there some issues? Yes, because there's some corporate run law enforcement that are not doing their job correctly either. So there's a lot of dirt out there. But the reality is, our first month, we're going to hold a sheriff's symposium, and it's for sheriffs, and it's for the top police chiefs and everything else. And we're going to reintroduce the Constitution to them. And we're going to say, you will never have a governor that's going to support you more than the Herms governorship is going to support you, but you will also never have anybody that's going to hold you accountable if you're not doing the right thing as much as we are. And that's what that symposium is going to be about. But you don't hear governors talking like that. The governors go two ways. They're all about anti-police, or they're all pro-police. And they don't understand that there's actually a position in the middle that is the best for the police and the best for the people.
Wow. So when I was a security manager in Lake Tahoe, running a couple casinos, and I'd help the other casinos out too, because we all worked hand in hand as far as keeping track of criminals and thieves and so forth. We'd share information. We would have people come in and were stealing in the casino. They were snagging purses, or they were going in our shops and stealing stuff. We the only thing we can do, if it was under $1,000, because it's petty crime, they don't want to deal with petty crime. All we could do was tell them to leave and never come back. And our security monitor, our visuals, surveillance, would put them on a list, and they had some kind of high tech stuff where if somebody came in, they would boop, and then we'd go and run them out. That's all we could do. So sometimes what we would do is we saw somebody taking a lot of stuff. We were like, wait, now go. And then they have well over 1,000, and then they go to jail, and we get all that stuff back, and they would, never be allowed to come back again. But that's some of the stuff that, is out there right now. So I think that would be incredibly wise to get, because the sheriffs and their deputies would come in. They were frustrated as much as we were about it, but that's the way the system's designed. So if you can get them involved, yeah, you can change all that.
Yeah, and we have to. When I grew up, kids, they wanted to be astronauts, which that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Or they wanted to be police, and they wanted to be firefighters. That's the dress up, back in the day, and we looked up to our police officers. Yep. I'm sad for them that we don't. Now, I would say part of that is the fault of police management, right? Yeah. Because they've allowed.
Unfortunately, they're corrupt, and they have to be, because that's the only way they can survive.
To flow, exactly. So that's a huge part.
Multiple reasons, literally and figuratively. For the money, and also because everybody around them is corrupt. If they're not corrupt, then they can get taken out.
Exactly right. In fact, I can tell you, there's a sheriff that was put in that we really thought, and not in California, another state, that we really thought was going to work against or fixing child sex trafficking. And we had some people that talked to him afterward and says, "Why aren't you doing anything?" And he says, "I think that more than 50% of my employees are corrupt." He goes, "and they will kill me and my family. So he said, I'm still trying to figure it out." But that's what his concern is. So we're dealing with a twofold apparatus. We're dealing with, they're getting virtually no support from the people because of false rhetoric of them being racist and so on and so forth. And the top-down issue is there's a lot of corruption inside the police force too. So we're very aware of it. We're going to address it head on, and we're going to have honest conversations. So we're going to, holding the cops accountable for doing wrongdoing actually helps the people want to support the rest that are doing the right thing. So that's why we're going to have to do both, kind of the carrot and the stick.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like that in a lot of different organizations right now. True. And that's part of, cleaning up the fraud. You're not going to clean up the fraud if you still have people that are committing the fraud. So you have to, start, a lot of people think we just start at the bottom. No, a lot of times you have to start at the top. That's what we did when I was in the Middle East, working as a SEAL in the CIA. We took out the leadership, and somebody else want to stand up and take leadership, okay, we'll take you too. And who else? Who else wants to stand up now? So then everybody just filtered away, and it all stopped. So if you go after the fraud at the top, you can eliminate probably 95% or more of the fraud, and then you find out who's still in the lower levels still playing this, and they'll get dimed out once people see that. And that's what happened in Minnesota. People saw that they finally got serious about taking out the fraud at the top, and they're like, yeah, here's more information for you. So we'll see that, going forward.
It's exactly right. But there's actually another factor of motivating people emotionally. And I'll give you an example. So I've troubleshooted a lot of businesses. And one of the first things I've done is, let's say there's a sales force that I'm troubleshooting. And there's one guy that has 80% of the sales, and the other 5 sales guys, they have 20% combined. Generally, I find out that that guy is the problem, right? So I'd moved them or fired them, and people panic. I've had people that have headhunted me and brought me into business, and the owners are panicking. I can't believe you would do that, Lewis. And I go, just be patient, watch what happens. And the people underneath panic. They're like, all our sales is going to be gone. And I go, no, they won't. No, they won't. What happens is you have one dirty person that is poisoning everything else.
Yeah.
Right. And people are afraid of that person. So as soon as you get rid of that cancer, everything else thrives around it. It's the same thing within government, police force, and corporations. You cut out the cancer itself, people feel a lot more comfortable in their atmosphere, and they're going to do the right thing.
Yeah. Yep, that's definitely right, and that's why everyone needs to support you, because you're going to do the right thing, probably for the first time in a very, very long time, if not forever, in California's history. Because people get into power because they're backed by people that are going to use that power for their corrupt means and so forth. So we've seen that throughout time in a lot of these states, and it's just become, this is what we do, so it takes somebody that's very strong and has great ideals, and they're backed. This would never have happened for you if you weren't backed by a lot of we the people, and we need to continue that. We need to get more we the people involved with your organization, and part of that is just breaking free from the media control that's going on you right now. How do you address that?
Yeah, and I'd be lying if I didn't say it's tough, right? Because the suppression is absolutely massive. Even people from the Bobby Kennedy's team says, "Oh, it looks like you got more suppression than we got." Yay! So,
take a little heat off us. Yeah, good.
Right. So that's the type of stuff we're dealing with. But that being said, so there's a couple ways.
He wants to support you, doesn't he?
I don't know.
You don't know yet?
I don't know. We have people say that we're speaking the right language, and people that know him and said you're over the target. Da, da, da. I don't know that he can, because he's in a position of government.
Yeah, good point.
But that brings up the solution, though. So we get some very established names in there that people are very, very well established, well renowned, to support us and say they're willing to step out of the matrix and say, we're going to take a chance on this guy because he really cares. That alone will help us put us over the top. Some major donors, and there's PACs out there that want to support us that come in. We can advertise our way to a win, because all we have to do is get in front of people. Because the number one thing that people are saying, number one, is, "Oh, I didn't even know who you were."
Yeah,
that's the number one. And then afterwards, they're like, "Wow, I'm changing my vote to you." So that's huge. We're getting about an 85% flip rate just getting in front of having a short conversation with people. They just don't know what they don't know. So dollars for advertising is huge. Endorsements or big interviews. We're going to be reaching out to a huge interviewers that we finally got their information, can contact them directly. We're going to be doing that this week. So we think a lot of things are going to crack very soon for us.
I hope so. Yeah, we need it. Because California, what is it? fourth largest economy in the world or something crazy.
It is. It is.
That's not going to last much longer.
No, and they're doing everything they can to tear it down. I mean, look at all the
Why do you
businesses
think
that are
that is?
running.
That's crazy. You would think that let's keep it strong so we can keep stealing from them. Like,
Well, I believe now that Newsom and his cronies, as often these crazies do, they got too arrogant. They pushed it too far. And there's not an appetite for them or their mechanism anymore in California. I think they get that. So what happens often, you've studied war, I've studied war. What happens often at the end of a war, your enemy will go scorched earth. So you don't have the resources that they had previously. So they try to diminish your potential resources and they just burn everything down. I really think that's what Gavin Newsom and his cronies are doing right now. They're doing everything they possibly can to burn it down. So whoever gets in there is really going to have to work even double time.
Yeah. So again, we're seeing that they don't really care about the people. They want the power and,
that's it.
And, as time goes on, like we've seen with bond fraud and so forth, it starts to get, they need more and they need more and they need more. And it just starts to eventually get to the point where it's going to collapse, which we're going to see our economic system collapse.
Yeah, and I would say it may be necessary for the economic system collapse for people really to start waking up. Because when it hits their pocketbook, suddenly they're like, oh, wait, what's going on right now? Right. And but that bread and circus system has been controlling us for a long time. So collapse may not be the worst thing in the long run, although it'd be very painful in the short run.
Definitely. All right, Lewis, Screw Big Gov is your other channel. So you're still doing stuff over there, or how's that working out?
Yeah, we get this the documentary on the elections and what I believe is really going on. It'll be launched on screwbiggov.com and hopefully simulcasted by a lot of people also. I think it's going to be pretty powerful.
Very good. Very good. And of course your website for California governor. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. It's hermsforcali.com. We put a lot of time, effort, and a lot of money into that platform right there. And I've already put up, I think there's 17 problems with 17 solutions on it. We tackle this stuff head on. If you're really interested in Maha, there's a whole section I call Mega Maha on there. I go into a lot of detail on the issues with our health, farming, and what we can do better, a lot better, including what they do to our children, transgenderism and everything. So people should check out the website. There's a lot of information on it. Plus you go to the event calendar and wow, the events are packing up for May. So we'll have those up in a couple of days. So I'm going to be touring again. Just yesterday, I got off of a 80 city tour, and now I'm going to start another tour in the next few days. And it looks like they're already starting to populate some of the May things on there, but there's going to be a lot of places that you can see us in California, but even Nevada, actually. We're going to be in Nevada on May 8th and 9th at the Mary Crowley event. So,
okay.
Wow, a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. Like your bus. I like to see the new bus. So good job.
It's so cool.
Well, I remember you like, with screwdrivers and wrenches, keeping your little bus going for a long time. Yeah, it's good to see you're able to upgrade a little bit. So fantastic.
Yep, this is a mega bus. We're very proud of it, and the graphics are amazing.
Very cool. Very cool. And we're praying and hoping that you are going to get that California governorship. And what's the next step in you moving up?
Really, just exposure. Yeah. It's that simple.
When's the primary?
June 2nd.
June 2nd. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So if you just want to give me a birthday present, it's June 2nd. Just vote for me on June 2nd. That'll take care of that.
Absolutely. Is that your birthday?
It is. It is.
Wow. That would be a nice birthday present. So
yeah.
So let's say you get, high numbers and some of the other ones fall out. You're probably going to be running against maybe one or more.
Yeah. So the goal is we only need to get to second place in the primary.
Okay.
And the reality is, here's what's sad. We have a lot of people standing by on the outside saying, hey, as soon as you get through the primary, we're going to finance you like crazy, right? But they have trouble understanding the way the mechanisms work. All the money for the bad candidates, the evildoers, are all put in the primary because they want to push people through the primary, because then they kick back during the general election where everybody shows up for, and they have their illusion of choice and they think their actually vote matters. It doesn't matter in the general election. Your vote really only matters in the primary. So we're trying to re-educate the people, and we have to flip it on its head, because 30% of people come out in the primary, 70% in the general. So you literally have 30% making a decision for the others, because generally the two people out of the primary are not the good ones.
Interesting. Wow. So how's your Democrat, now that Swalwell has been eliminated, how's your Democrat opposition looking?
I honestly, it's not arrogance, I don't consider the Democrats opposition in the least bit.
Oh,
I think they've shown that they support this governmental parasitical infrastructure for so many years in California. I talk to people, and it literally is, oh, at least you're not a Democrat, right?
yeah.
And many times they say, oh, good, you're not a Republican either. Like, the Democrats are willing to vote for an independent that's more conservative than a Republican, as long as they don't have the R next to their name. So there's a lot of upside in the way we've positioned ourselves. So it literally just comes to us getting the word out and people knowing us. And I'm doing the work. So I think we're going to get there.
Yeah. Amen to that. So, looking forward to it and supporting you as much as we possibly can. So you're having an online event coming up. We're going to hopefully jump on that with you and support you as much as we can. So thanks a lot, Lewis.
Saturday. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you.
Yep. Appreciate you.